Guys, what's up? Today we'll be looking at a brand new pack being introduced in Duel Links. It's called Echoes of Silence. In the video, Konami showed a few combos, the first being a level up example where a Silent Magician level 4 is leveled up to level 8 to cause 3,500 damage, and then proceeds to use level down to bring back the Silent Magician level 4 to deal 1,000 damage to finish the opponent. Another example is the combo with Vortex Trooper and Limit Reverse. You activate Limit Reverse after your opponent has finished their attacks for the turn. Then you switch Vortex Trooper to Defense mode on your turn. This triggers Limit Reverse, which destroys Vortex Trooper, permitting you to draw a card off of Vortex Trooper's effect. The final example is to summon a Submarine Frog, a monster that does piercing damage, and activate Unified Front to discard Spiral Serpent from your hand, and its attack then becomes 2,900 for the turn, defeating Rex Raptor, as is shown in the video. The cards in this set are, for the Ultra Rares, Silent Magician level 8. This is a light spellcaster level 8 monster with the following effect. Cannot be normal summoned or set, must be special summoned by Silent Magician level 4, and cannot be special summoned by other ways. It is unaffected by your opponent's spell effects. This is useful against decks that like to use Ryoku or spell destruction effects such as Order to Charge. The other ultra rare is Spear Dragon. This is a Wind Dragon level 4 with 1,900 attack and 0 defense. It inflicts piercing battle damage, but if it attacks, it is changed to defense mode at the end of the damage step. This card is useful if you really need to inflict that last damage, pairing it with Kaiba's ability to bring out Mountain, and this card becomes a 2,100 attack monster. You know, there are some cases where your opponent may have like 300 or so life points left, and they have a defensive monster, and this is the only monster that you have out. You would normally, in that situation, you just crash your monster into the defensive monster, and then you wouldn't get anything, but by having this monster you can at least ensure your victory. The super rares in this set are Green Kappa. This is a Dark Warrior level 3 with 650 attack and 900 defense, and its flip effect is to target 2 set spell or trap cards on the field, destroy those targets. This is useful against heavy back row base decks such as those used when playing against Odeon. The next card is Ultimate Insect level 7. This is a Wind Insect level 7 with 2,600 attack and 1,200 defense. If this card was special summoned by the effect of Ultimate Insect level 5, while it remains on the field, all your opponent's monsters lose 700 attack and defense. This is a bit different to the other Ultimate Insects because not only does it have the attack reduction, it has the defensive reduction as well. This has great use as a card because it reduces both stats, so you can face cards such as Blue Eyes, White Dragon, and against defensive decks that specialise with cards like Labyrinth Wall and, force your attacks like Battle Mania. The next card is Vortex Trooper. This is a Wind Aqua type monster with level 3 with 0 attack and 600 defense. When this card is normal summoned, you can shuffle 2 cards from your hand into the deck, then draw 2 cards. When this card is destroyed, draw 1 card. This is useful as if you have a bricky hand, you can redraw part of your hand and have a chance to get something better. The next card is Yumiruka. This is a field spell that increases the attack of all water monsters by 500 and decreases their defense by 400. This is one of the attribute field spells. I believe, to my knowledge, that they have now all been released, and so benefits those that are focusing on a particular attribute type of deck. The next card is Rising Air Current. It is basically the same as Yumiruka, except for wind attributes. The next card is Emergency Provisions. This is a quick play spell card. Its effect is to send any number of other spell and trap cards you control to the graveyard. You gain 1,000 life points for each card sent to the graveyard this way. So in a turn, you can get maybe 2,000 life points. It's useful when you have a dead card, such as Call of the Haunted, on your field that's been left there after the monster that has been equipped has been removed but not destroyed. It's also useful if you have few life points and it would save you that turn. So you could potentially draw into your next card the following turn and then be able to recover your situation. The next card is Spell Power Grasp. This is a normal spell card that adds a spell counter to a card, and then you can add another copy of this card. This is good paired with cards such as Mystic Cerberus and Maiden of Massacre. The next card is Limit Reverse. This is a continuous trap card which targets one monster with 1,000 attack or less in your graveyard and special summon it in attack position, and if it is destroyed in defense position, if it goes to this defense position, it is destroyed. This is basically like a weaker version of Call of the Haunted for smaller monsters. The next set of cards are rares. First is Sinister Serpent. This is a water reptile with 300 attack and 250 defense. It's a level 1, and its effect is during your standby phase, if this card is in your graveyard, you can add it to your hand and banish one Sinister Serpent from your graveyard during your opponent's next end phase. It can only be used once per turn. This effect is mainly for discard fodder for other cards, otherwise there is really no need to run this card. The next card is the Bistro Butcher. This is a Dark Fiend, level 4 with 1,800 attack and 1,000 defense. When this card inflicts battle damage to your opponent's life points, your opponent draws 2 cards from their deck. This has no use, I wouldn't advise using it, as you're being just encouraging your opponent to win, unless you have some sort of Joey Gamble deck. The next card is Silent Magician level 4. This is a light spellcaster level 4 with 1,000 attack and 1,000 defense, and it increases its attack points by about 500 every time it gains a spell counter. And this happens when your opponent is drawing cards, whether that be through a normal draw or by an effect-based draw, such as a Jar of Greed. And when it gets to the standby phase, when it receives its 5th spell counter, keep in mind that it can only be maxed up to 5 spell counters, that you can send it to the graveyard and then special summon a Silent Magician level 8 from your hand or deck. This card has support through the Power Spell Grasp mentioned earlier. The next card is Ultimate Insect level 5. This is a Wind Insect level 5 with 2,300 attack and 900 defense. If it was special summoned by the effect of Ultimate Insect level 3, all of your opponent's monsters lose 500 attack. During the standby phase, send this card to the graveyard to special summon an Ultimate Insect level 7 from your hand or deck. The next card is Gemini Lancer. This is a Water Sea Serpent Gemini monster with 1,800 attack and 1,400 defense. And when it is summoned a second time, it inflicts piercing battle damage. The next card is Deep Sea Diver. Next card is Deep Diver. This is a Water Aqua level 3 with 1,000 attack and 1,100 defense. At the end of the battle phase, if this card was destroyed by battle and sent to the graveyard, choose one monster card from your deck and place it on top of your deck. This enables you to set up for a play for your following turn. So rather than having a bricky draw, if you just need, say, a level 4 monster rather than a high level monster, you'd be able to bring something like that out. The next card is Alchemist of Black Spells. This is a Wind Spellcaster level 4 with 1,200 attack and 1,800 defense. Once per turn, you can change this face-up attack position monster to defense to place a spell counter on a card it can apply to work. It works with Silent Magician level 4. The next card is Slushy. This is a Water Aqua level 2 with 0 attack and 0 defense. When it is normal summoned, you can send one Slushy from your deck to the graveyard. If you have 3 Slushy either and or banished or in the graveyard, you can banish this card from your graveyard to target one level 5 or higher Sea Serpent monster in your graveyard, special summon it, so this is basically useful for a card like Spiral Serpent, which is also in this pack. The next card is Gagagigo. This is a water reptile level 4 with 1850 attack and 1000 defense, and is a normal monster. It is one of the strongest level 4s in the game, alongside Blazing Apache. The next card is Darkblade the Dragon Knight. This is a Dark Warrior fusion level 6 with 2200 attack and 1500 defense, and requires Darkblade and Pitch Dark Dragon as its fusion materials. Its effect is each time it causes battle damage, you can remove 3 monsters from your opponent's graveyard from play. This can work against Dragon Revival decks especially. The next card is Level Up. This is a spell that changes your level monster into its next level. So you've got level 4 goes to level 8 for Silent Magician because it's just the 2 of them. Or you've got the Ultimate Insects, you've got a level 3 can go into a level 5, or the level 5 can go into the level 7. The next card is Pop Up. This card is a quick play that lets you bring out a field spell from your deck if your opponent has one. Chances are your opponent will have one through one of the character effects. And this means you might not necessarily have to run the character effect, because you can use a different one and just use this as though it's the character effect. The next card is Silent Burning. During the battle phase, if you control a Silent Magician and have greater cards in your hand than your opponent, both players draw until they have 6, and you can banish this card from the graveyard to bring a Silent Magician from your deck to your hand. Now, you have to have a greater number of cards in your hand, but you're still drawing until you have 6. So, say your opponent has 1 card in their hand, and you have 2, you're still drawing 4 at best. The next card is this, Unified Front. Its effect is discard 1 monster, then target 1 face-up monster on the field. Its stats become the same as the discarded card until the end of this turn, and you cannot attack directly. The next set of cards are the commons. The first is Pitch Dark Dragon, a Dark Dragon Union with 900 attack and 900 defense. It can equip itself to a Dark Blade and increases its attack by 400. When Dark Blade attacks, it inflicts piercing damage and can protect Dark Blade from destruction once by destroying itself. The next card is Kiryu. This is a Dark Dragon Union level 5 with 2000 attack and 1500 defense. Its effect is equipped to a Dark Blade. It increases its attack by 900, and you can tribute this card to let Dark Blade attack directly. If Dark Blade would be destroyed, this card can be destroyed instead. The next card is Level Down. This downgrades your level monsters as a quick play. It can be used to add to your attacks for that turn, as was shown with the Silent Magician example. The next card is Ultimate Insect Level 3. This is a Wind Insect Level 3 with 1400 attack and 900 defense. If summoned by the effect of Ultimate Insect Level 1, it reduces your opponent's monster's attack by 300. During your standby phase, you can send this card to the graveyard to special summon an Ultimate Insect Level 5 from your hand or deck. The next card is Hydra Viper. This is a Water Reptile Level 4 with 1800 attack and 400 defense. Each time this card declares an attack, you must tribute 1 Aqua type monster. It can attack up to 3 times during each battle phase. It's too costly to use this effect. Better to have the monsters than the attacks. The next card is Submarine Frog. This is a Water Aqua level 2 with 1200 attack and 600 defense. That does piercing damage. The next card is Imaruka. This is a Water Sea Serpent level 2 with 1000 attack and 1000 defense. When this card on the field is destroyed by battle or card effect, you can send the top card of your deck to the graveyard, and if it was a water card, you can draw one card from your deck. The next card is Dark Blade. This is a Dark Warrior, level 4 with 1800 attack and 1500 defense. This is obviously necessary for the fusion, so this is why this is a common. The next card is Spiral Serpent. This is a Water Sea Serpent, level 8 with 2900 attack and 2900 defense. It's very balanced as a card, very protected, can be used either offensively or defensively, and is one of the strongest Sea Serpents actually in the game, within the whole game, not just Duel Links itself. The next card is the Graveyard in the 4th Dimension. This is a spell card that adds 2 level monsters from your graveyard back to the deck. This is useful if you've gone through a number of them. The next card is Level Modulation. This lets your opponent draw 2 cards, then brings back a level monster who cannot attack or activate its effects this turn. Though, by bringing it back, if you're using certain ones, they can sometimes be better than just, letting your opponent draw 2 cards, so sometimes that's worth the risk. The next card is Evil Blast. When your opponent special summons a monster, it gains 500 attack, but during each of your opponent's standby phases, it inflicts 500 damage. This is a normal trap card. The next card is Cash Back. This is a counter trap card. When an effect works that requires the opponent to pay life points, it is negated and is returned to the deck. At the moment, this card isn't really that useful. It can be used to counter something like Malfunction as like a third chain, but other than that, it really doesn't have any use, considering that there aren't really any solemn cards in Duel Links so far. The next card is Graceful Tear. This is add 1 card from your hand to your opponents, then gain 2000 life points. This can be useful if you have bad cards, as you can pick the worst and give them it, and always gaining that amount of life points is very useful, especially if you're down to your last few. The last card is Massive Morph. This is a normal trap card with the following effect. Target 1 face-up monster your opponent controls. Its attack and defense is double, but cannot attack directly. Overall, this pack best supports water attribute monsters, as well as having decent support for spell counters and the level monsters. It would have been good if they had introduced the armed dragons, as the previous pack, Electric Overload, introduced the XYZ monsters used by Chaz Princeton in the anime. Both sets of monsters were used by him. So, what do you guys think of these cards? Will you be testing them with cards? Which cards would you have liked to have seen? And which cards do you think will be dead within the set? As always, please leave your comments down below, like the video, subscribe, click the bell for notifications, and as always, thank you for taking the time to watch the video.